Fleetwood Mac taking you back. No, it's not Johnny Walker's Sound of the 70s, but that was Fleetwood Mac with the Sound of the 70s. You go your own way. Don't go your own way and stay with us right now, because we're talking to Lujza Richter, a top actress. I've seen her on stage. She played a part of Franziska, where she had to do a bit of cross-dressing. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Yeah. But first of all, Louise is going to tell us a bit about her family background, including how she is, in fact, a descendant of a very famous writer. Please do tell.
Okay. Well, I'm a bit of a cultural mix. I'm Hungarian, French, Scottish, and English. And on my French side, my mother's father is Victor Hugo's grandson.
Just a grandson. That close. Even that still, it's very close.
Yeah, it sort of skipped a generation because his son died and he took care of his grandson, Georges Jeanne, and Georges is my grandfather's father.
Wow. So the author of Les Miserables and many other great works.
And The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Not Disney, but it is Victor Hugo.
Wow. So that's is this something you just grew up with and your parents told you about?
It's a bit of an odd thing, and having been born in Paris and I grew up in Strasbourg, city on the border with Germany. He is an illustrious writer and politician and an icon of French literature and all of that stuff. And of course, teachers love it. But I don't really have anything to do with the man. I'm not an expert.
Sure.
I was, often expected to be an expert, and I'm not. It's just sort of.
So you grew up in Strasbourg.
Yes.
The home of the European Parliament, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But you have this perfect English accent. This is, and your father's Scottish, I think.
My father's Hungarian, but he was born in Scotland.
He's born in Scotland.
Both his parents are Hungarian immigrants.
And your mother?
And my mother, half French, half British.
And that British is English, Scottish, Welsh, or everything?
Both,
okay,
yeah.
So that, okay.
Scottish family, Hope family from Edinburgh, and then English from Tite Street.
How's your Scottish accent? Can you turn that on?
No. Glaswegian, no. Don't think I can.
It's not quite Glaswegian, but it passed for Scottish of some type. Well, that is amazing. I think it's such a. I thought I had a slightly bit mixed background, and there are other people. I think
it's a thing of life, really. And I came to the UK 3 years ago, and I was convinced I was British, and I always loved to say that I was British in France. And then I came here, and I realised I just wasn't. And people love to remind me how French I looked, how French I sounded, how French I was. And so you kind of, a lot of existential questions come into the bag, and where am I from? Who am I? And it's kind of a thing of.
Do you consider yourself? How would you define yourself?
Well,
European.
European, from the world, from everywhere. I think it's a great gift.
Do you get a bit frustrated by? I think some British people are kind of xenophobic, especially English people. I think are a bit xenophobic. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think you live on an
James
island.
is shaking his head and banged his head against the table.
No, but you've had to defend your tiny island for centuries.
Mm-hmm. But so you don't agree with me?
But French people are as well. You go to Paris and,
but in a different way, don't you think?
In a
nice way.
I think it was Bernard Levin who wrote that the British are xenophobic in that and the French are both the British and the French are xenophobic in that they hate the rest of the world, whereas the Americans just don't know the rest of the world exists.
Yeah, so, that sums it.
I think it's we see it in the debate, or I suppose it's a debate we've got about being part of the European Union.
Yeah.
Not to say that the European Union is perfect, but people love this sort of anti-European narrative, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Whereas you wouldn't read that in France, I don't think.
Well, I'm a product of the European Union, and it'd be blasphemy if I did speak against the European Union, because my great-great-grandfather was one of the sort of chef de
Yeah,
file.
he was a great believer in the United Europe, wasn't
Absolutely,
he?
and I am a product, so how can I speak against it? And I think, with all of these exchange in universities and in schools, having lived in Strasbourg, I speak German, and I learned German age 3, because it's part of this sort of opening up to different, cultures and languages.
It's also a part of, the coat of arms of this state is On y soit qui m'en pense, which is French, of course.
Yeah, love his French.
Prince Charles's coat of arms, Ich t'aime, which is German.
German, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the royal family being Saxe-Coburg-Gotha.
Yeah.
Of course.
They're actually like the epitome of the European Union, aren't they? You should be pleased about them.
Who?
The royal family.
I'm not getting into a discussion about the royal
They're
family.
incredibly European.
James, we're not talking about the royal family here. Right. How did you get into acting, Louisa?
Well, that might sound very cheesy, but acting found me. I decided when I was 6 years old that I was going to be an actress, and I never came back on that decision. I do remember being 11 and thinking, oh, but I'd love to be a top lawyer or a policewoman. But then, being an actress allows you to be everything. My family, my French family, is very artistic, painters and writers, poets, musicians, but no actress yet. So I think there was this sort of yearning to carve my path.
So sort of in that sort of vein that you wanted to be all those things, you actually studied at the Giles Foreman School of Acting, which is renowned for teaching the method.
Yeah.
So did you choose to study there because of the method?
Yeah, I did. I moved to London because I was accepted at the foundation course at RADA, and I did a year there. And it was actually at RADA that we had this 4-hour Meisner class with a brilliant teacher called John Beskidzam, and he teaches at the Drama Centre. And it was the only sort of method class in the, and that was just a revelation to me.
So had you considered RADA, the sort of more traditional route?
Yeah, not as much as people portray it to be. It is an incredible school in terms of equality and opportunity, but drama school is a very individualistic thing, a very personal thing, and as much as they choose you, and the competition is just ridiculous, but it's also about you choosing them. And I didn't want to be a RADA trained actress. It does come with an etiquette, and as this year was just life changing, because it did sort of show me what kind of actress I wanted to be, and I did, and the method was one of the key points.
I presume you're referring to your role where I saw you on stage in Frans Werken's Franziska.
Yeah, it's not very well known.
No, I must admit I'd never heard of it, but it was an amazingly interesting, fascinating play.
Yeah.
And the role you had was extremely challenging.
Yes.
It involves you posing as a man, apart from... did you seek out the role, or was it...
No, it was thrust upon me, yeah. It was our first public show, and so I was appointed the lead role. We were supposed to share the role, but my friend got some contract in Germany, so it was left with me. And it was a very challenging role because, it's not a very well-known play, but I do recommend reading it. And it's a very young woman. The play spans on 3 years, so she starts at 18 and finishes when she's 21. And just an incredible number of events happen to her. And the growth of that woman, or girl, woman, young woman, she ends up with a child, 21, and it's sort of that, to encompass that change and be able to portray it on stage is in 2 hours and 15 minutes was quite challenging.
So the number of challenges there, aren't there? The one you've just mentioned, that becoming a mother. How do you prepare for that? You don't really do the method.
I do a lot of babysitting,
literally do. Okay, right.
I guess I had that for free, but No, and there was this halfway in the play I do become a man for 2 years, so an act.
So how did you research that? How did you research being a man?
Well, I'd like to say I had it in me. Sorry. No, but I didn't know I could do the androgynous. Yeah, that sounds very actory, doesn't it? But no, it was a lot of fun, and it was a research. I think I got a wig, and I'd dress up, and I'd go to school dressed up as a man. I'd try to chat up women in Soho, which is a very good place to do that sort of thing. And
how did you sort of talk to women as if you were, and did you sort of convince them you were a man, or did they sort of just think you're a butch-looking woman?
Well, I wanted to see, I didn't want to force the fact that I was a man, because I think you probably reveal more that way than just letting the doubt float around and let them be confused by whatever they were feeling.
Did you put on a voice?
Yeah, I did drop my voice much lower. but,
which she executed very well on stage, I can say.
Yeah. I did a bit, through the rehearsal process, and that's what rehearsals are there for. But I had to be brought back to the world of a woman, because obviously she is a woman dressing up as a man, but I was concerned with thinking like a man and acting like a man and responding like a man when she is a woman.
Did you find it liberating?
Yeah.
Limiting.
Yeah. No, liberating, surely. And the physicality, there's a lot of pressure on women to look nice and this and that. And as a man, you kind of can just throw this out the window.
But men have their own pressures. Did you feel any of those?
Yeah, and there was this very interesting scene in a bar, and obviously the fact that I was a woman playing a man twists things a little bit, because there was this tension of, am I going to be discovered? But the pressure of being manly in a sort of cabaret bar, can I pick up a girl? Can I not? Am I the most handsome in the place, and that sort of thing? Yeah, I did feel that. Did you ever sort of form a friendship with a man when you were preparing for the role, and give him the impression that you were that
male?
I was a man. No, I did not. No. I'd be lying if I... But I'm doing a new project, and bizarrely, this woman is cross-dresses as well, so...
This is a habit. You're be careful you don't get typecast.
Seems to follow me. No, but I'm... there's some experience.
There was a criminal gang in the 19th century in London called the Clockwork Oranges, who were women who cross-dressed as men, who were actually... a criminal gang. It's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was in Wales in the 18th century. There was a thing called the Rebecca Uprising. Yeah. And it was all because there was
immortalised by the men who they couldn't hang in a song.
I've not heard of that. But it was something in the Bible that said that that Rebecca didn't pay a particular tax or something, and they meant if Rebecca can't, then we won't either. So they dressed up as a woman and called themselves Rebecca.
Message to my daughter: if you're listening, this is not about you. My daughter's called Rebecca.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, there are many interesting stories about women that seem to be very under-publicised. It's, I think I mentioned one earlier, Anna Hughes, a Protestant martyr from the 17th century. I read the story on Wikipedia, and it's incredibly moving, I thought. And recently I saw Suffragette, and why has it taken film companies so long to make a film about that? There's so much there. It's so dramatic. You've seen it, Louisa. Yeah.
Well, I did. Yeah.
You did see it. And what did you think? What was your opinion?
Can I be really honest?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh God.
You didn't like it.
Come on, you can speak your mind.
No. I liked it, but I had 3 glasses of wine and I fell asleep. I'm so sorry. So I'd rather not comment, and I will go and watch it again.
Go and see it again.
And, so
It's the pressure of the job. You know, you work very hard.
Friday late.
Very powerful history, of course.
But then there's a problem, isn't there? Because people go to the cinema to watch things which are entertaining, not necessarily to be given a lesson. And I think there's a danger of something that can be a very worthy subject. It can feel like you're being lectured. And
I didn't feel I was lectured at all.
Yeah, but it wasn't a particularly popular film. It hasn't been a box office smash. I think, Fast and Furious 7, for all its faults, is the sort of entertainment that many people go out to see.
Some historical films, though, are very educational.
Yeah.
Okay, can we not go down that road for the moment? Sorry, James. You come back and we'll have you talk about films if you like, but we're trying to talk... Sorry to cut you off there, but... talking of films, while we're on the subject, Lujza.
Yes.
Can you see yourself doing some film work?
Absolutely.
And have you done some in the past?
No, I've done a few sort of amateur short films or semi-professional, but my background is mainly stage. I've been training stage for 6 years in France, and now in England.
Have you actually done it in France as well?
Oh yeah, a lot.
And what sort of roles did you have on the French theatre?
Well, we did a lot of the French. I did a theatre baccalaureate, and there's practical and theoretical. So, and the two sort of blend in. So we did all of the Greek classics. So I played Cassandra in Agamemnon, Antigone.
Very good.
And then Jean Anouilh and yeah.
And anything by Molière or Racine, or any of those people?
We did Molière. We did Marivaux. I don't know if you know Les Farces, Feydeau, Marivaux.
Okay, I've heard of
them. Popular theatre.
What I've seen you in so far has been mostly serious theatre.
Yes.
So do you prefer that to the comedy? I mean, some people say comedy's harder, but I don't necessarily concur with that. But do you prefer the tragedy? Or?
No, I like both. I'm a clown.
Yes, we're going to talk about that if we had time. Yeah.
Then the clown is the most tragic character of all characters, really. So, I really enjoy both. They're different timings, they're different dynamics, but as thrilling and exciting, really.
Mm-hmm. I saw you in Euripides' Bacchae as well.
Yes.
Which was directed by Giles Forman, and this was astonishing as well. I thought the chorus was very feral compared to a previous production I'd seen.
But there's always.
How did it compare to playing Francisca?
Oh, it was very different, very very different experience. Francisca, I was the lead and on stage from the start to finish. Chorus is. Sort of intervene in the plot, and they lead the action.
Chorus as in singing?
No, chorus as in Greek tragedy chorus.
Yeah. A group of people who
in ancient Greece
give a narrative.
Yeah, they were the only ones with the coryphée that linked the action on the proscenium with the audience. So they're this sort of medium, they're a link between the actors and the audience. And they reach out and they explain the action. It's very repetitive, probably, but...
Shakespeare had a chorus in some of his plays. Twelfth Night, I think, has a chorus, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what's more your bag? Francisca or Bacchae?
Oh God, can I say a mix of both?
Yeah.
Because the Bacchae, the chorus was a very intense physical experience, and it was a director's choice and our choice to be the women of nature, the followers of Dionysus. So we sort of run covered in vine leaves, across the hills with him, and it's a sort of thing where you either have to go all the way, for it to have a dramatic effect, or it could sort of look very ethereal and whatever. So we were very, feral, as you said, and savage. And it was a great physical...
I thought it was astonishing, I've got to say.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I thought it was absolutely astonishing. And
well, if you put the two in comparison, Franziska is a very solitary character. She's alone, although, she has these 2 amazing years in the show business. She is alone and she doesn't trust anyone, and then switching to the complete opposite, being a member of the chorus, where of course there's individuality, but the main thing of a chorus is that you breathe as one, and you speak as one, and you share, that sort of energy as one. So it's completely different. And it's very interesting to have that 1 week and then, switch to the other extreme.
You must have been rehearsing for both at the same time.
Yeah.
That must have been incredibly demanding.
Yeah, I was running in one room, running in the other, and having to switch, having to follow up on the physical moves.
Especially as a method actor, you sort of try and live the part of Francisco, but you've got the part-time role of being part of the chorus where you're cavorting on a stage, semi-naked and, with mud all over you.
Yeah, Well, in both cases you use yourself, and so of course it is difficult, and you have to blank your mind and start fresh and be ready to jump into the action. But fundamentally, it is from you that it comes from, and it is you the only resource.
Which of the 2 roles do you find more draining? I would have thought the Francisca role, because it is so demanding. I mean, especially there was one scene where you go off as a man and you come back as a woman, and it's totally convincing. I actually had a hard time believing it was. I thought, has she got a twin? Maybe she's changed so quickly, and she's looked so convincing in both roles. Yeah, I imagine that was more draining than being part of the chorus.
Yeah, it was. Sort of carrying the play like that, and especially that, I mean, if any of you ever read the play, a few months or years go by in between each act. So it's kind of like fast forward, into different stages of someone's life. And it was quite draining, but also with so much adrenaline and energy that comes out of...
Almost in the brain, you're travelling through different dimensions.
Oh, yeah.
And it also must be that you've actually must not just emerge as like a new thing each time. You're carrying all the rest of it from behind. You carry your experience
with you, and that is the sort of the challenge of the job. Can you bring out the lessons that you've learned in the past acts in that one, or can you manage to surprise the audience in that way, that they remember the first act in the 5th act and go, oh right, I understand.
Structurally, it's very interesting.
It is very interesting, yeah.
And well, it's an interesting play all around.
I think it's the first time that it was put on as a drama school sort of showcase.
Really?
Franziska, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a little bit of time left for you to tell us about your latest project.
Oh. Well, we are devising a play about extraordinary women, and we are 6 extraordinary women.
This is still under the auspices of Giles Foreman.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's our last showcase in December, 8th, 9th and 10th. And so we've all sort of picked a woman of our choice, and we're devising at the moment about these women. So,
and who are you going to play?
Well, I stumbled upon this woman called Isabel Eberhardt, which, funny enough, has the same last name as Franziska. Franziska was called Franziska Eberhardt, and my new woman is called Isabel Eberhardt. And she's this incredible character that's not well known. She's written a couple of novels and essays and diaries, and she was a nomad. She's the same as me, very mixed culturally, Russian, French, and
Scottish.
No, not Scottish.
Well, it didn't get in there, did we?
And she died at 27. So she's part of the 27 Club, and she left to Algeria, converted to Islam when she was about 20, with her mother, and then lived as a nomad for 6 years in the Sahara Desert.
When?
1900.
Okay, interesting. Oh.
And I mean, her views about, freedom of the individual, of women, but it's not even, she just seized her freedom at that time.
Why did she convert to Islam?
That's where she felt...
Liberation?
Yeah.
Through Islam?
Absolutely.
In 1900?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And did she write? Was she just become a prolific writer, or what did she do when she became a nomad?
Well, she would write. I think one of the most interesting things are her diaries in the desert, and she'd write about her writing and how she,
In an Islamic sense, was she Sufi?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she was striving to become a marabout, marabouts. Yeah, absolutely. And so she would cross-dress as a man.
Here we go again.
Yeah, again. I know. It's something that follows me.
We've all been through that phase, James.
I'm seeing a pattern.
To be continued, Brian. Another week. Not today.
And she
Brian,
well, you have the hair. She dressed as a man to enjoy the freedom, of being able to smoke hash and the pipe in tents with the other men. And it's a funny thing because from what I've read, everybody sort of knew that she was a woman, but that she dressed as a man. And she has all of these alter egos, a sailor, and then she has this Mahmoud, who's, one of her
She
most
called
beloved.
herself Mahmoud.
Mahmoud, yeah.
Did she publish under what name?
No.
Under her name, or
her first short stories, yes, are under a man's name, which I can't remember now. But no, otherwise her name, Isabelle Eberhard.
Okay.
Very interesting character.
And the actual part that you portray, what sort of timescale does it cover?
Well, that's kind of the difficult question in devising
You're
piece.
still working on it?
Yeah, because we're sort of taking from the beginning of her diaries to her last records just before her death. And I don't know, because we sort of devise, sort of pockets of action, and then we will weave everything together.
Okay. And when you present these on stage, will it be all 6 characters in one evening?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And who are some of the other characters? Might we know some of the others?
Yeah, absolutely. Frida Kahlo. Camille Claudel, who was Rodin's mistress or lover.
He imprisoned her, didn't he?
Yeah, in an asylum.
Yeah.
Camille Claudel, Frida Kahlo, Tracy Emin, and Barbara, who's a French singer.
Yeah.
Tracy Emin, the one that lives down here.
Yeah, the British one.
I think there's only one, isn't there?
Probably for the best.
So it's interesting that most people have gone for artistic personalities rather than... No, there's no politicians in there or...
probably
or
my one
stars
is the most
political.
Political. Because she was... Yeah, she was. She was, and we have an interesting...
But primarily known as an artist.
An artist, yes.
Yeah.
An artist, yeah. Isabelle, I mean, she was mixed up in an anti-colonialist movement in Algeria at the time. But she's just such an enigmatic character.
So when you have your part, is it a small play with yourself and 2 other characters, or do you all partake of each other's
we interact with each other as well as having our own sort of moment of fame. Moment of
Very poignant character for these times as well.
Yeah. Actually, incredibly inspiring. So as I'm saying, we're devising it so as it goes.
So as a Sufi Muslim these days, you'd expect her to wear the veil, wouldn't, or at least a headscarf, no? But presumably, as she's dressing as a man, she doesn't have any head covering.
Oh, they do wear head
It-
coverings.
yeah,
in winters, the men do,
the
yeah.
the traditional. I don't know how you put
Oh,
it,
you're talking
but-
about the Arab headscarf, that we associate with
Yes,
the
they
formal
wear something
headdress.
similar. The Tuaregs wear blue ones, don't they? And they,
Yeah, exactly. And traveling
Yeah.
in the Sahara, she was dressed up
Okay.
as a full
And
on.
the Sufis could be very mystic and go beyond that.
But that Arab headdress could be secular as well. That's not particularly aligned to religion, is it? But in your case, you were going to portray her like that, are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I am. Although I don't know, because she has very interesting things that she says about Islam and being a woman and how, and she had a husband, Slimane, and she sort of goes, well, I'm not going to comply and obey, and I only obey my God. So
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And are you actually involved in writing the script, I take it?
yeah,
Yeah.
we take from the diaries, from what we from what is written.
So it's got to be broadly. It can't stray too far from the actual facts.
Oh no, we're not inventing anything. We're just sort of trying to weave everything together. Can Frida and Isabel have a conversation? Can things echo in
Highlights.
Exactly. And finding the echo in one another, that's what's I think interesting.
I have to say, it sounds like an absolutely fascinating project.
Oh, absolutely. Please come.
I will.
That's it. Giles Pullman Centre for Acting on the 8th, 9th, 10th.
December.
Yes.
8th, 9th, 10th of December. In Giles Foreman's, which is, if I remember rightly, in Frith Street, is that right?
Dean Street.
Dean Street.
In Soho.
In Soho. Dean Street. And it's quite a small studio, isn't it? So presumably you have to book.
Yeah, just go on the website,
advance.
because I might be wrong with the dates as well.
And tickets are how much?
They're free.
They're free.
It's
Wow,
free.
so get booking.
Goodness me.
Get booking.
Case.
Francisco was also free, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Although they made us pay for Bacchae, but
Yeah.
that was in a bigger theatre.
Yeah.
So either way, I would say I recommend you book pretty quick,
Yeah.
sharpish, if you're listening in. To all our 3 listeners. Anyway, we've had a great evening. I think thank you to all the guests, Louisa,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Brian,
Thank you very much.
and James.
Thank you.
And Steve, of course, who's on the phone. This has been a fantastic, very informative evening, I think, and very challenging for all of us. I think we've all had some challenging questions asked us, and we've all maybe learnt something new about something or other. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Indeed. So in 2 weeks' time, I'll be back on the airwaves, and next week Liam Davis will be back with you. But for tonight, I'll say goodbye to you. Good night.
Good night.
ShoreditchRadio.co.uk